Is today's dinner starting at 6 p.m.? I'm sorry. If that's when it's starting, I'm going to be around an hour late as some more work just came up for me.
An hour late?
Do you think you can ask the restaurant about having the reservation pushed an hour back?
Wait, I can give them a call. I was the one that made the reservation in the first place, after all.
I'm really sorry, but thank you for doing that, Trevor.
I just gave them a call and it doesn't seem like we can change the reservation now.
Is that so? I am so very sorry. I'm going to try working even harder now to see if I can take care of all of this work.
Don't worry, I've already gone and canceled the dinner.
Really? We went through so much effort finding a time that worked for us to go there.
The only reason I wanted to go out to dinner and all there was because I wanted to have a word with you.
A word with me?
I wanted to find the right place and time to talk with you about breaking up. And since we are both engaged right now...
Wait, what do you mean by breaking up?
I'm sorry, but I've really been contemplating this. However, now, I want to break up with you.
But last week, you and I got our parents together to talk about us getting married, right? We've also started preparing for a wedding. What's going on here? Did something happen to you?
I really love you, and I don't want you to doubt me about that. But when it comes to breaking up with you, I've been thinking about it a lot.
But if you still love me, then why?
Actually, I was chosen to move overseas for work.
Overseas?
I know just how much you've been wanting to focus on your job as well, and that means you would never be able to move overseas with me. But for me, having to marry you and then move overseas without you for a long time, I would never be able to bear through that, and that's why I want to break things off now.
When were you told you'd have move overseas for work?
Actually, I was told about it over a half a year ago. At the time, I told them I couldn't. The company then started to ask other people about it, but when they all started to quit due to what the company was asking. And in the end, they came back asking me. But this time, it was more like commanding me.
Where will you have to go?
A pretty dangerous place. I hear the place is very bad for foreigners like myself.
And your company is asking for you to move out there? Has your company ever been located in places like that even?
They told me that they plan to expand the company over there and need me to go and help with that project. In other words, I'm going to be in charge of the process. I'll have to stay over there for some time without coming back to the States, and I'll be very busy. And that's why I'd feel bad being engaged or married to you and having to be so far away from you for years. That's the reason why I want for us to break things off. For your sake.
For my sake?
It's not the kind of country I can ask you to leave your job and move with me too. I also promised your parents that I'd take good care of you. So if I were to make you move out to a place like that, and something bad were to happen, I'd never be able to face them again. Right?
But I'm sure you've been worried about that.
I know that having to say this over text is pretty rough on my part. But if I were to have to tell you all of this straight to your face, I'm pretty sure I'd break down. So not going to the restaurant tonight actually works out nicely for me.
Hold on a second. Are you really 100% ready to break up with me right now?
I want to forget about marrying you right now. And after talking with the wedding coordinator, she told me that as long as we cancel all the prep work now, we'll get our money back. There won't be any penalties against us for calling things off now.
You've already been talking with them about that?
Please understand me, Annie. I have been worried about what choice to make here because I've been thinking about you. But me asking for us to break up was the best choice I had. I don't want to burden you in any way. I want for you to become happy, Anne. I think there is someone better for you out there who can do that.
This is all happening so quickly that I'm having a hard time processing it all. I think I need a little bit of time.
I'm sure you do. I'm so sorry for asking you to break up with me out of nowhere, but this choice I've made isn't going to change.
So you've already decided that you can't get married to me now? And that's led you to want to break things off with me right now.
I get that what I'm saying and asking for is very selfish of me. But it also has to do with you making you happy.
For my sake.
When you've had time to think all of this through, let's go talk with our parents again and tell them that this marriage is off. I'll be the one to call the wedding venue and have that wedding of ours canceled. I'm so sorry that things had to turn out this way.
Anne, are you doing all right? Of course you're not doing all right. Your fiancé told you that things are off after all. He's going to be moving overseas now, right? I know that was a lot to have to swallow, but have you had time to process everything now? Thank you so much for listening to everything I had to say afterwards. You don't have to thank me. You and I are best friends, right? Well, I'm feeling a lot better now, so we don't have to worry about me anymore. I kind of feel alright now knowing that everything has already been dealt with, and I can forget about Trevor. That's great to hear. I promise that I'll invite you later. Invite me? Don't tell me that you want me to come with you to another one of those speed dating events. I may be feeling better, but I'm not completely healed just yet. Not that. I'm talking about a wedding. A wedding? Huh. Whose wedding is this? My wedding, of course. Why would I invite you out to some random person's wedding like that? Indy, you're getting married? Actually, yes I am. The wedding won't be for another 3 months though. 3 more months. I know that's around the same time you plan having your wedding, right? As a matter of fact, that empty spot your cancelled wedding left open, I made sure to take over. Is that so? Well, congratulations. I've felt kind of bad for you after that bad news, so I was wondering if I should even invite you or not. But since you're my best friend, I knew I needed to invite you to my wedding. However, if coming is going to be too much for you, don't force yourself to come. No worries, I'm alright with it. I'm feeling a lot better now. And being invited to the wedding of one of my bestest friends is something I really appreciate. So I'll be there. Really? I'm so happy to hear that. So it's going to be at the same place where I was planning on having my wedding at? That's right. And actually, it'll be on the same day as well since we took over your spot. Alright, I'll make sure to leave the date open then for your wedding. Since you know the date, time, and place, I don't need to send you a physical invite, right? That's fine. You don't need to waste any effort on me. Thank you, Anne. There's one thing I'd like to ask of you, though, if you don't mind. What's that? There's actually been something I've wanted all this time. I've been wanting there to be a performance at my wedding, where most people would have their siblings and stuff included in it, while I get changed. Ah, lots of people do something like a performance. But I don't have any siblings, so I would like you to be there for me, to maybe say a speech or something as my best woman. So you'd like me to be with you at your side as well, when you're up there with your fiancé? That's right. I know this is a lot to ask of you, but you're okay doing it all for me, right? As long as you really want me to be the best woman. You are the only person I want being my best woman. Thank you so much. Now I'm really excited for my wedding day. I don't think I'm going to be able to relax now from this excitement. Now, make sure you're there for my wedding, no matter what comes up. Of course. Having been asked to take on such a massive responsibility by you, I'll leave that day open. I'm looking forward to this. Same here, same here. I'll see you in 3 months then. Thank you so much for not backing out and actually coming out to my wedding. You were pretty shocked, right? I was wondering why you ran out of here so quickly, but it all makes sense now, seeing as you were in complete denial of what you'd seen. Can I ask you what the hell this is about? What the hell this is about? Well, the man I'm getting married to today is your ex-boyfriend. That's all. But he didn't break up with you saying he was moving overseas? That's too bad. He was never being asked by his company to move overseas for work. So 3 months ago, right after he'd broken up with me, you guys had already decided to get married? That's right. At that time, him and I already had gotten our parents together to talk about how we'd be getting married. The thought was that we'd be ready to marry. So what's going on there? When I came here today, both of Trevor's parents were sat out in their seats, yet they were both people I'd never even seen before. Does this mean that back when he had me meeting his parents for that whole time, they weren't actually his real parents? Right on the money. Those two people you met, who he said were his parents, were two adults he paid to act as his parents. You really thought that they were the real deal? Why the hell would he do something like that? Trevor always wanted to get married to me, but at the time, I'd refused to marry him. You refused his proposal? The thing is, back when I had another man that I was after, the plan was that I'd be getting married to him. What the hell? So you're telling me that the both of you were cheating on your significant others with each other? I was just keeping Trevor around. It's natural for women to always keep a few men around in case their main man ends up running off, right? At the time he proposed to me, I said no. But he was being harassed by his parents to get married already, so out of desperation, he went and proposed to you next. So I was his second choice. Are you shocked by that? Hearing that you weren't ever his number one is a shocker for you. Stop acting so surprised. When I had heard that he went to you and asked for your hand in marriage after me, I got a little upset. What's going on here? You weren't even interested in him at the time and just were keeping him to the side, right? But knowing that he'd be getting taken by someone like you didn't sit well with me. If he was willing to marry someone like you after asking me, then he'd be better off with me in the end. That thought led me into thinking that I did want to marry him. So I went and told him that I wanted to be his wife after all, and that's when we started to plan a way for him to get rid of you. And one of the plans was to have you meet with some fake parents, so that his real parents could meet me. So he was so desperate to leave me that he would take things that far in order to have you as his wife instead. Your wedding with him was never really cancelled either. He just told the staff to change the name of the woman he was getting married to mine. That was the plan from the start after all. He always acted like he never cared about where the wedding took place, but now I can see why he was so interested in this one place that I honestly didn't care too much about. He wanted this place because he knew he'd be marrying you here, and not me. I thought that, at that time, the only reason he wanted this place was because he felt bad for never choosing any of the places I wanted, and thought that here at least met some of my requirements. He was also able to get you to pay for a part of the wedding's preparation fees as well, right? Now, lucky for me, I thought that you would ask him for the money, so during the breakup because it cost you your time with him and the wedding. But instead, you took the money he said he'd gotten for canceling the wedding and never said another word to him. Thank you. Now that you mention it, I did pay for half of those preparation fees. You forgot about that then. You're such an idiot. Well, because of your help, we were able to make this beautiful wedding that we're getting now to celebrate today. I'll thank you for that one. And as part of my thanks, let me tell you something juicy. I actually stole him from you 1 year ago. You stayed a friend of mine this whole time while I was doing him behind your back. I knew all about that though. What? Huh? Are you trying to be all tough now? I'm not acting tough right now, as I really have known this whole time. And when he came to talk with me about breaking up, I knew well enough that this was the reason for that was. Huh? There's no way that's true. You were completely ruined after that day, right in front of my eyes. That was me drinking a whole bunch to drown out my sadness. That was me getting hammered to celebrate our breakup. You celebrated that breakup? I knew about how he was going out with you behind my back and was getting ready to finally talk with him about calling everything off. But I was still in the works of thinking about how to tell him off and how to make him pay for what he'd done to me. Yet, before I could make my choice, he was telling me about a lie about how he had to move overseas for work. He told me that he wanted to break up, and that put an end to some of my plans. So I went and slammed some cocktails with you and started to think of a new plan. I told you, right? I was feeling so much better after that breakup. Hold on a minute. Since when did you know about that? I mean, you shouldn't have ever been able to tell what was going on. I figured things out when him and I started to plan our wedding. While him and I were talking about the wedding planner, he was constantly asking for things that weren't my taste, even though by then he should have known very well what my tastes were, and that seemed rather fishy to me. He would rather also get up to random moments during that talk and go to the restroom to sit on his phone for 5 minutes at a time. There was no looking around what was going on. What? I was wondering what the heck was going on with him, so I started to pay closer attention to the details. And boy was I shocked when I found out that he was talking with you about the wedding plans. If you knew about all of that, then why didn't you ever say anything? Why? Why do you think? You never really loved Trevor that much is why? That's not the right answer, but don't worry about that right now. You asked me to be a part of your wedding today, so I'm going to make sure that I do that before revealing the real answer. So you were never really shocked to see me with your ex today then, huh? You can't tell me that when you saw me coming down the aisle with your ex in my hands, you didn't feel anything. So, that was your plan then all along. You went out of your way to invite me here to your wedding and asked me to be your best woman, also that you could see me in shock when I had to learn that you were planning to marry Trevor this whole time. I thought I'd have my chance to finally show you just how much of an ugly bitch you are. I always thought that you were a very good friend of mine from back in the day, but I guess not. Don't run away from me and get back into this venue right now. I don't care what you've known about me being with your fiancé that whole time. I want you to sit there in misery while watching my wedding. Once I've seen that, I'll really be happy and won't ever bother you again. I promise I'll be back in there to finish my job as your best woman, all the way to the very end. Where the hell are you right now? What the hell are you planning? What the hell is this? My wedding is a complete train wreck right now. After having gone out there on stage with you, we all walked out to the back, and from there I decided to start heading home. I did what you asked me to do and gave that speech to entertain your guest while you had left to get changed into your party dress, right? I never asked for this. Well, that's odd. All I asked for was that you be my best woman and stand next to me while you were in tears writhing at the fact that I was marrying your ex. And I just did that. But it wasn't just me standing up there with you. And that's a huge part of the freaking problem. What? I thought you wanted your wedding to be entertaining, and so I went out and gathered all the women Trevor had been cheating on me with, and then brought them all into your wedding with me for you. I never asked for this, and I had no clue that he had many other women besides you and me. Trevor's the one that knows a whole lot more about all those other girls than I do, so go talk with him. He ran away from here. He locked himself in one of the rooms here, and now the whole wedding is going into chaos with all of my guests up in arms. Well, I could see why that's the case, because when all those girls came with me, they got to the stage and all introduced themselves to your guests as Trevor's side chicks. I love that part a lot, especially when they started to number themselves off and said they were happy to have played a part in Trevor's harem. And because of that, my wedding is screwed. And what the hell? You explain to me right now why he had all these other girls. I told you that I don't know what they are all about, but since you can't seem to find Trevor anywhere, I guess I can try my best. I told you before that something was fishy about the man, and so I started to search deeper, right? And after asking a friend of mine who was good at doing this kind of detective work, they were able to uncover a lot more than I first thought about Trevor. I went and hired a lawyer, and with the help of them, we called every single one of those girls and learned that not only did they never know that he had a fiancé, they did not know that he was with a bunch of other girls. He really had himself quite the group, didn't he? What? And after getting together with all of those girls, we shared all the evidence we had proving that he'd been cheating on me with each and every one of them. We worked on writing up a settlement that we would like him to pay off. A settlement? I'll be getting a settlement from you as well, because unlike the rest of the girls, you knew that he was engaged to me while you slept with him. Hold on a second. I'm already dealing with my parents telling me they don't approve of this marriage anymore and are asking all of the guests here to take back all of the money they gave to me. So how the hell am I going to pay off a settlement to you? But you were the one that wanted all of this, right? I'm not sure if you really thought that it would be a good idea or not to try and make me feel terrible today. But when you learned that the man who had proposed to you first then went and proposed to me without ever actually wanting to marry me, you all of a sudden became jealous and went to steal him back, right? I was just... Well, there's no point in bothering with that now. I'll be talking with you about the settlement next week, so please wait for that. You still have the choice to make of whether you want to really marry Trevor or not. But just know that today your best woman was all of us women who have been going out with Trevor at the same time as you. So please, take a second to think if you really want to get married to him or not still.
This is all your fault.
Oh no. Even though I lied to you about my love for you and the fact that I would still have to move away from you to some dangerous country right before our wedding, and use that as my reason for breaking up with you. How dare you bring all of my harem into my wedding and make a fool of me for all of the things I knowingly did to myself. Wait, hold on a second. None of this is my fault though, right?
I thought I'd done a perfect job hiding all of those girls I'd been with from one another, but then you went and looked into them. Now they're asking me for settlements. I'm going to lose all my money now, and my company is no longer going to be able to trust me. Why would you do this to me?
Really, sucks that some of your higher-ups were there at your wedding.
They're all telling me that they had no clue about the lies I was telling everyone about myself. And now they're saying they won't ever be able to leave me in charge of any more of their projects because they don't know what I'm telling the truth or lying about anymore. Now I have no work at all. I had finally been given so many big chances after finally entering that company years ago, and this was going to be my way of moving up. I was supposed to be promoted into a manager after this last project.
Now that I think about it, before the wedding even started, and I was about to walk in, I saw an older gentleman looking at the announcement board outside.
That was my boss! What the hell did you say to him?
I talked with him about how you'd said that you were forced to move overseas for work, but that no longer seemed to be the case. I heard all about how he would be sending you to this really dangerous place, and that he wouldn't have taken his wife with him if that were still the case. I was just talking with him about all the things you had told me before, right? Did you make a rule stating that I couldn't talk to anyone else about that?
Crap. That right there. That right there really screwed me.
Don't start blaming me for that lie. Just because you didn't do a good enough job hiding it from others doesn't mean you can take it all out on me. This is all your fault after all.
I will apologize to you for cheating, because I really did love you back then. So could you at least step back from asking for a settlement from me, please?
What are you talking about? Out of all the women you were with, I was the only one who wore the engagement ring you gave to me. I think I'm the only one who should be getting the most money out of you after you destroyed that trust that we had. Also, the money you promised me for having canceled the wedding, I want it.
You want that as well? That all happened months ago.
You're the only one who seems to think that the past can never come back to bite you in the ass then.
So you're really still mad about that as well?
When it has to do with my money, yes. Right now you're using the money I paid to have this wedding with Indy, right? Well, my lawyer doesn't really like the idea of that, so I'll let him know that you're not willing to cooperate with me on that.
Your lawyer? You're joking, right? I never thought that something like this would happen to me.
Well, then, perhaps it's time that you learn what it really means to be an adult, instead of thinking that everything just revolves around you. In the end, Trevor was told to pay a settlement to every single one of those girls he had involved in his scheme for lack of better terms. However, he didn't want to take responsibility for any of it until both of his parents got a hold of him and told him that he'd be paying them, even if it were the last thing he ever did. And so, he finally paid everyone, including myself, without saying another word about it. After all of the people that Indy had invited to her wedding found out about what her plan was and how she even got a hold of Trevor, they all stopped talking to her and her parents disowned her. She never did end up marrying Trevor and is now completely on her own. Having also been with my ex knowing that we were engaged, she had to pay me a settlement and is currently paying off that and part of the failed wedding.
Thank you for watching till the end. If you felt good about this video, like the video. If you didn't like it, let me know why in the comments. Subscribe too. Your likes and subs lead to our motivation. We have so many videos on our channel as well, so go ahead and take a look. See you in the next video.